Randall, you have a quorum, you have all the staff. I'm not sure, I don't think all the attendees that were here earlier on, and we're live on YouTube.
Randall, you're muted. If you're talking to us, we can't hear you.
I'm sorry, y'all. It's been a long day already. Welcome, everyone. I know that was a very long executive session. We had a lot of very important issues to discuss, and so thank you for bearing with us. And I guess I should start with our decision there, shouldn't I? As it relates to personnel, is everyone in agreement I should start that decision now, announcement now?
Proceed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, it was brought to our attention by our funding agency in the federal government that one person would have to be selected to take the role of interim essentially as soon as Sean vacates the role. So that made it very important for us to have to choose someone quickly, given the nature of his quick departure. And so we have, after careful consideration and talking with both candidates, I did ask earlier in the week, the staff, Cheryl Matney at ITAC, which is the advocating arm for our federal partner, did indicate that given the tight time frame, given all the work the council has to do to stay in compliance with its federal mandates for funding and such for the year, and all of the important work we must get done, that she felt comfortable to advise me strongly that it should come, the interim should be from existing staff. We did ultimately decide to take that recommendation after some consideration, and we want to offer the position to Courtney Ryland. And so that is our decision as a unanimous body.
Thank you so much for that. I greatly appreciate that. And I look forward to all the work that we'll get done.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for accepting it. I know it's a very difficult time, a very difficult role. And as I pledged to you today, I will work with you in every way I can to help with the transition for you in every way I can, and also as you are in the role to assist you in every possible way to work as a team to get the work done, to keep the council functional and strong. Thank you for accepting.
Randall, I think procedurally you need to have a motion for that.
Okay. And so I call for a motion to accept Courtney Ryland as the new interim executive director that would begin on August. Would it be August when's your exact departure date, Sean? Is it the 7th?
Yeah, it'll begin on August 10th.
10th, okay. So for Courtney Ryland to assume the role of interim executive director beginning on August the 10th, 2020.
I make a motion to, yes, this is Mary Tarver. I make a motion to have Courtney Ryland take over as interim director on August the 10th.
Okay, do I have a second to Mary's motion?
I'll second.
Okay, Stephen seconds Mary's motion. And so do I have any abstentions to this motion? Hearing none.
You need public comment, and can I
Oh.
clarify, can I just ask for clarity if y'all want to do a pay level for
Yes.
that position? Might be good to include in that motion.
Okay, thank you for that recommendation. We do want a pay level. And so we put that in the motion as well. So I believe the agreed upon number was 80,000, is that right? We used the low end of the salary range for the executive director search.
Yeah, this is Mary. I'll amend my motion to have the salary range be at the executive director level that we're looking at for the new executive director, which is 80,000 to 100,000, so $80,000.
Okay. So again, that would be the low end of the range for the executive director search committee recommendation. So that would be, that's a motion is amended. Do we need a second to that amendment, Sean?
No, I'm just included in the original motion as
Okay.
long as that's.
Okay, so now we have the motion to offer Courtney Ryland the position of interim executive director at a salary of $80,000 for the year. And again, I explained we took that number from the low end of the salary range of the executive director search committee. So do I have I have the motion on the floor. It's been seconded. Do I have any abstention to the motion?
Any discussion and public comment?
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Do I have public comment?
Yes, you have a comment from Rebecca White.
Okay, could you please read it?
Shouldn't we have someone in place continuously, including the weekend, should something occur? Y'all are working on the weekend right now.
My last day is technically August 9th. There will be no disruption of position, and the paperwork will be filed this coming week to make it all happen.
Thank you, sir. That was our intent to move so quickly is we were advised there could be no disruption. That one person had to assume the role as soon as Sean vacates it. So that's why the expediency today on that motion. So, all right, any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to move forward with the vote. So do I have any abstentions?
You
Do
have
I
one
have
more public comment. I'm not sure if it was too late for it or not.
Go ahead.
Ms. Karanda said, can we please have the responsibilities for this position be public so we can give a real response?
Yes, we can make the job description. I think we have the job description for the executive director already written up for executive director search. We could post that on the website, and that's what the person would be expected to do. Now, as I stated this morning, we're going to have to prioritize a lot of things, but the essential work of the executive director will be done and has to be done. And so that person will be assuming those roles instantly upon assuming the position. So we can certainly post that.
She also has her hand raised. Oh, Mary was going to talk. Sorry, Mary.
Yes, Mary, you have the floor.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't think that what we're working on for the new executive director is been, finalized. That's kind of in process. So whatever Sandy's job responsibilities are the same ones that Sean has been doing is the same ones that Courtney will be doing. So I don't think there's anything new.
And there will be a fair amount of, no matter who took this role, there'd be a fair amount of delegation of duties that, I mean, the person will simply not be able to perform everything that, say, Sandy or even Sean was doing, because we have a tight timeline for our, all of our deadlines are happening within the next few months, and so of 2020. So we will have to prioritize things that must be done so that we can strictly exist, and that will be Courtney's main function, is to make sure we're getting everything done that needs to be done so that we remain functional. And I, of course, as chair, will work closely with her to do that. So having said that, if there's any other questions of the executive committee, Karonda, I'll entertain your comment or your question.
Great afternoon, Mr. Chairman and executive committee members, Mr. Fleming, interim director. I think that that before the public can actually really give a real sound decision, as far as in how we want to take a stance with who would be the next person to actually fill Mr. Fleming's big shoes that he's leaving to be fulfilled, that we actually need to really have a real responsibility list so that we can actually look at. Because right now, Mr. Fleming has been doing a lot, an extreme lot. And he sits on quite a few committees, councils, in addition to being our interim director. And I just don't want to see, with everything that has been going on in our disabilities community, the last thing that I would want to see is that we put somebody in that position that is not capable of actually doing that role, fulfilling that job, duty, and obligation. Because right now, our council is currently under the federal order that I've mentioned before, that is public for everybody to see. And we have so many issues that is plaguing our community, especially during this pandemic. Correct. That the DD Council has actually been trying to take a stance on and address. So I just don't want to see any person, even though Mr. Fleming is stepping down, I just don't want to see any random person, even if they are a staffer, jump into that position and be in that position, and then we be put back in the same predicament again with that person saying that they're stepping down too.
Well, we essentially agree with you. The problem that we have is that the position cannot go vacant. And so, I mean, we would cease to function, cease to exist on every level if we don't have someone to replace him on the day after his retirement. So we had a long discussion, as you all who were here first this morning know. It's not an easy decision. It's not, and I commend Courtney for stepping up to agree to do it. But again, it speaks to trust. This morning, I made clear your executive committee, and we have to make decisions that you as a council and you as a community stand behind. You know, I mean, it's essential. So, I mean, that's got to have that. And so we deliberated for what was it, 2 hours? And you know, this is our best estimation as to who is willing, because that's very important. You can't put someone in a role they're not willing to serve in, as to who is willing and who we believe is able, to the best of the ability under all these unique circumstances, to temporarily fill the role. And having said that, we understand, and as I said this morning, and say again, for those who might not have been here this morning, we will have to do things in a way that puts priority on our very existence. We cannot have a situation where Courtney is expected to immediately fill Sean's shoes completely. That's not going to be, I mean, Sean's been 20 some years. That's, you know, I mean, we're going to lose some of that institutional knowledge, certainly, and have to prioritize where Miss Ryland puts in her time as the interim. But, you know, we definitely feel that we have selected a person we're confident in. And I made clear to her in her, you know, we had an interview with her. I made very clear to her that she will have my ear and she will have my input, like it or not, on a host of things. And we have open communication between us. And I'm confident as chair that Courtney understands that and was agreeable to it. And I want to thank both the staff who agreed to be interviewed today. They both, you know, it's a wonderful thing to have them have that much confidence in us in the midst of a pandemic and in the midst of all of the chaos, frankly, that we are enduring as a community. And so this is our best option, we feel, to keep the council going as we also move forward in choosing who that next person to lead us permanently will be. Do you have any other questions or comments?
You have a few more comments.
Okay,
You want me to read them?
you certainly can.
Okay. Katie Corcoran said, "Thank you, Chairman and committee members, for your diligence securing a well-vetted interim director. Congratulations, Courtney." Kelly Monroe said, "I think it is an excellent choice. Look forward to working with you, Courtney." Bambi said, "Thank you, Executive Committee. I trust your decision and will do everything I can for the success of the council and our DD community." And Liz Gary said, "It has been a pleasure working with Courtney when I was in Partners. Congratulations, Courtney."
Okay. Is that all the public comment we have at this time? It appears to be. So thank you all for your consideration. Thank you, Karanda, for your concern. I hope I addressed it well. And I know things are not, you know, we're not in an ideal space, and there will be many things that need our attention, and we'll do our due diligence to make sure they get seen to and addressed. You know, so thank you very much for your concern and your comment there. But hearing no other public comment, I need to move forward with the vote. So do I have any abstention to this vote? And again, that's to make Courtney Rowland the interim executive director beginning August 10th, 2020. Hearing no abstentions, do I have any objections to this motion? Hearing no objection, this motion is carried. Thank you.
Randall, I'd like to make a recommendation that the executive committee consider that all the staff have and will continue to have increased responsibilities, and just for the consideration to be given for them to be allowed additional pay to commensurate with those responsibilities. I think it'd be good if y'all considered that and gave your feedback officially on that.
Well, I can tell you from my understanding of just working with everyone as I have done in my role as chair and vice chair for nearly a year now, that I concur with your recommendation, sir, and I would be in favor of that. But the executive committee certainly has cause to give their input as well.
Mary
This is
has her
Mary.
hand
I
up.
agree. I agree. I'm on my phone, so I can't see where to
Sure.
raise the hand, but I agree.
Okay. So is it fair to say we're all in agreement? Let me put it this way. Does anyone object to the consideration to increase staff salary? Does anyone on the executive committee object to the increase of staff salary?
No objection, totally concur.
Okay.
No objections.
So Sean, you have our permission to move forward with
Thank you.
that. Thank you, sir. And thank you to all the staff for the work you do and have agreed to do as we continue to try to move forward together. Now, I think that settles the issue of personnel, does it not? At least as it relates to the agenda today.
Sorry, hold on just a second.
Sure.
So the next thing on the agenda is consideration of guidance on investigating the accusations against staff relative to council motions in October and January. I put these 3 letters on the website. I apologize, I didn't put them up there earlier. They were sent out in January, following the January meeting when y'all voted on those letters. And I know some of the meetings, Randy, you can discuss where y'all are. I think you met with one of these groups, but I'm not aware of the other.
I did meet with the Inspector General after we sent the letter. It was, I think, I don't remember the exact day in February, but it was around Valentine's Day that week. I think it was. April and I met with him. He came to the conference room there at the council, and I met via secure link on Zoom with him. And April was present with him. And we discussed the letter, and he received it and said that he would review it, and anything that he had found, he would pass on to the other entities, particularly I think related to LDH, because we're part of the Department of Health. He would be sure to pass on any of his findings to the relevant parties in those agencies, was essentially what he told us. So, and I have no reason to think he has not done so. So there was that meeting, and then we had a meeting scheduled we had a hearing scheduled with the Board of Ethics, which was for April. And the date of that meeting escapes me, but it was scheduled for April, but due to COVID, it was postponed. And I have yet to hear officially from the Board of Ethics on a reschedule of that. And so I will, and I had intended to reach out before today, and I just have not. And I apologize to all, but I have not had the adequate time to do that. But I will reach out to see where they are in terms of scheduling their hearings that were scheduled prior to the COVID outbreak. So I will certainly check into that soon, next week, and see where we might be with that. The Department of Health indicated that's why we wrote the letter. The Human Resources Director requested it. They said that if we wrote the letter and sent them a letter that was signed by the chair, that they would begin to assemble a team to look into, and she wanted it spelled out in the letter what they were to look into. So that's how the letter came about, and the council approved the letter. And so, and directed April and I to send it. At the time I was her vice chair, your vice chair, directed us to send it to all three of these entities. And so that is exactly what we did on January the 28th, 2020, in accordance with the council directing us to do so. So they have received the letter. Beyond that, I have not received any feedback as to when that team will be established, because again, COVID and the shutdown did affect their processes as well, from what I understand. So whenever I'm going to reach back out again, and whenever they are available and able, I have no reason to think they won't continue that work. And I will do everything to assist them in that work, as I have been directed to do by the council. So that's where we stand on those. Are there any questions? Okay. Any comments relevant to this item? Hearing none, I thank you for your confidence in me to carry out the work of making sure that the initiatives get done appropriately, and I pledge to do so. And thank you for bearing with us. All right, so next is consideration of protocols for providing council members equipment to participate in virtual meetings. Sean, would you like to speak to that?
Yes, sir. Sorry, putting my dog outside. So I'll share a different screen. With us having virtual meetings, the need to ensure all council members having equipment, y'all passed in the budget additional funds, and I didn't really know how much to include. But I just want to make sure there's a process, because we've never, like whenever the council members request travel, there's a process of approvals that usually goes through the executive committee, for vote and all this. Because I think the equipment would be much less. We did do a search, and, we can get a little tablet for 180 to max 300 something dollars, and it's not that expensive, but I still think it would be good to have some mechanism of approval. And so, and of course, that all the equipment will be tracked by staff. We're accustomed to tracking any equipment in any contract.
Yes.
And just keeping track of it. And so there are already some protocols in place on that end. But I'm thinking, instead of having it all like just for a less than $200 device to go through the executive committee, is if y'all agreed to just have maybe the executive director and the chairperson approve the purchase, and those would be reported out should be reported out at the council meeting. But it would not, people would not have to wait for y'all to meet.
Correct.
Happen.
And we already have an issue that I'm aware of where a council member has not been able to participate due to not having the technology necessary. And that's unacceptable to me. I mean, they're a member of the body, and so they need to have that ability to be able to communicate and do the work as we move through this pandemic and Zoom world we live in. So that I agree with your assessment there, sir, that I'd be more than willing to be part of the process to sign off on that is needed, and it will be reported out to the council and the executive committee at the appropriate times.
So I'm just going to ask for a motion to enable and ensuring that the purchases are, say, like I'll just say under $300, that those approvals can be done with the executive director and chairperson's signature.
with no objection from the executive committee, I think that that's,
Yes,
what I would recommend.
yeah, I would recommend one of y'all making that motion and, okay.
Hey, this is Mary.
Yes, Mary.
Hey, would that include like, is it just equipment that somebody needs, or is it like the, hotspot or internet connection or whatever? How would that work? Or is everybody's okay with that? They just need to.
We haven't run into that issue yet, but it could include it.
Okay.
I would think, because again, it would relate to, if someone had that issue, it would relate to their ability to be able to function as the council member that they've been appointed to be. So it's incumbent upon me as the chair to make sure that all of you have the information and ability now, and it's a unique situation with COVID and the Zoom, to make sure that we all have what we need to function in this role through Zoom.
Okay, and then the other question I had is the device, whatever we would have to spend money on, would that be, it would maintain, the council would maintain the possession, or it would be like a checkout, like are we
Yes.
giving the device to somebody and they're never gonna give it back, or
No.
is it just while they're on the council?
It would be just while we're under this pandemic, where we can't meet publicly and have to meet via Zoom. It would be during this phase, and then they would surrender the equipment back to the office, and we'll work out how that best can happen. But they would surrender the equipment back to the council office when it's no longer needed to carry out their duty.
Okay. Then would make a motion that we give authority to the executive director and the council chairperson to provide necessary equipment for all council members that need it to be able to participate by the Zoom meeting, or for the Zoom meetings, or by computer, however we need to say it.
Right. Do I have a second to Mary's motion?
I'll second.
Great, thank you, Mike. So do I have any comment? Okay, so do I have any abstentions to this motion? Do I have any objections to this motion?
You have
Here.
a comment from Bambi
Is it
regarding the
related,
motion?
related to the vote?
Yes.
Yeah, please read it.
She said, to me, it's no different than paying travel to participate in meetings. It's a cost of participation. It needs to be provided.
Thank you, Bambi. Thank you for that input. Thank you, Hannah, for reading it. Okay. So I have no abstentions. Do I have any objections to this motion? Hearing none, the motion is carried. Thank you.
You do have a comment that was emailed to me.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want me to read it. It's long. It's from Christy Cormier.
Okay.
It reads, council members, thank you for your service. I wish Sean a happy retirement. May this time make up for all the time you spent working for our families, taking from yours. The extreme hardships for you during this time of COVID-19 seem to be unfairly placed upon the council. It has taken away one of the most dynamic leaders this council has ever had. April planted seeds of hope and passion within the soil of your operations and efforts, and I encourage each of you to continue to water those seeds and tend to its new growth. In order to sit in awe of what grows from these seedlings, I encourage you to look at all options for the future of the council. Your state plan should consider many things, including the design of the council. Louisiana's DD Council is currently designed in a way where it operates under or within designated state agency structure established in Louisiana Department of Health, Office of Secretary of State, Statute RS 28, Section 750 to 758. This design is only one option our state has regarding its designation of a DD Council. There are several councils that operate as their own nonprofits. Currently, there are 12 DD councils that are designed, designated as their own entity, operating outside of a state department as their own designated state agency. 3 of these 12 are actually nonprofits. In my 18 years,
on.
but it's Lindsay's phone, sorry. Sorry, caption is. In my 18 years of involvement in the DD system and advocacy, I've watched the evolution of our community and its advocacy systems. I've spent hours listening to families try and make sense of how the DD network operates, how they can be effective inside and outside of these networks, and try and educate themselves on what they should expect from the network. I can attest to this issue not being a new one. These questions have been around since I joined this community over 18 years ago. Optics and perception have never married and eventually led to where you find yourself today. I believe it is due to the design of operations. I encourage you to take this time of transition to be a time of transformation. Being unbiased and for the community is vital. Please consider other options of design and operation of the council. Christy Cormier.
Thank you, Christy. And we certainly acknowledge that this is a time to review all of our processes and such. So thank you for that recommendation. Do you have any other comments? Okay. Do we have any other business to discuss? I don't believe we do we?
No, I think that concludes your agenda, sir.
Okay. Well, I want to take a moment to thank you for your service, sir. You stepped up in a very difficult time, and even if we didn't always agree, you were always there for me, you know, in terms of what I needed. So I do thank you. And I'm sorry that, you know, you felt the need to go under these circumstances, but I certainly thank you for your service and your time, sir.
Thank you, Randall. And I'll echo your sentiment. I have a high regard for you. I feel there's much healing and work that needs to occur in the DD community. I have faith in this executive committee and the council as a whole, that y'all will take the necessary steps to shift focus to what is critical to people with DD in Louisiana. And I'm here for you if you ever need when I ask anything, I'm available. Y'all all have my cell phone number. And I do appreciate the opportunities that have been afforded me.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And I want to say to the entire of the staff, everyone on the staff, thank you for your service and your work during this time as well. And please know that we will be meeting with you soon as an executive committee to get your feedback on things and make sure you all feel a part of the process too. So you won't be left out. And I want to thank Courtney for accepting the position, and Mary Lee, who also applied. I want to thank you.
Thank you again, Executive Committee.
Did we lose Randall?
I think we did lose Randall.
Hi, Cynthia, you're now in charge. Actually, y'all need a motion to adjourn. Adjourn. Y'all have any other words?
Before we adjourn, I just wanted to say thank you, Sean, for your service to the council. And when I started, here a few years ago, you were one of the first people that reached out to me and made sure that I was comfortable. So I appreciate that. And congratulations to Courtney, and I look forward to working with you and wish you all the best. And hopefully as a community, we can come together and do what's right. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Stephen.
Sean, like to also thank you for your leadership and your guidance, both council and personal. It's been great and enjoyable working with you, and I'll look forward to staying in touch with you.
Thank you, Mike. Please do.
You do have a few public comments. Hyacinth, would you like me to read them?
Please read the comments, Hannah. Thank you.
Kathleen Canino said, "Thank you, Mr. Fleming, for all you've done. You will be greatly missed. Congratulations, Ms. Courtney." Karanda said, "Mr. Sean Fleming, we, the developmental disabilities community, cannot say thank you enough for your many hours and years of hard work. Our community reached many highs and accomplished many goals due to your hard work. We will never have the words to express our sentiments. I can't stop crying over this decision to retire."
Do we have any other public comment or any other comments from the executive committee?
If we have no other comments, I move that we adjourn.
I'll second.
Thank you. The meeting has been adjourned. Take care. Be safe, folks.